So the party of Lincoln is refusing to participate in debates, which is ironic since the reason Republicans call themselves the party of Lincoln is, frankly, because of Lincoln participating in debates. A lot of them, 7 debates in 3 months in 1858 against Stephen Douglas. Now, Lincoln may not have won that Senate seat for which he was vying, but by debating, Lincoln, the underdog at the time, catapulted himself into prominence and rode that wave to the presidency 2 years later. The Lincoln-Douglas debates, that back and forth, is the backbone of high school and college debate teams across the country, by the way. Now, to be fair and to be clear, not all GOP candidates have refused to face off with their opponents, but some high-profile options who've offered some varied reasons for refusal. By Friday evening, 3 Republicans running for 3 prominent positions had opted out. On Monday, Congressman Mike Simpson, citing sufficient circumstances, told the Idaho Press Republican voters don't need to see anything more from Brian Smith, his opponent, when explaining why he didn't need to share a stage with his 2nd congressional district challenger on Idaho Public Television. Representative Priscilla Giddings, running for lieutenant governor, at first agreed to participate on IPTV, but she told them she wanted the precondition of approval of panelists, something that IPTV has never allowed. So Giddings backed out. Then late Friday afternoon, Governor Little declined any invitation to debate on any format, IPTV or KTVB, claiming his record of historic accomplishments and facts as non-debatable. 3 Republican candidates who said, basically, I'm good enough, he's not good enough, and you're not good enough. Were these decisions bad enough to leave a dent in our democratic process? Well, we asked that question of Boise State political science professor Dr. Jeffrey Lyons. His expertise is on American politics, public opinion about those politics, political behavior, and political psychology. So debates are kind of right up his alley. He told us there's several reasons why a candidate wouldn't want to debate. Maybe they feel the debate won't be fair, or they feel comfortable in their campaign position well enough ahead that a debate would only be a downside. But Dr. Lyons said, given the decisions facing Republicans in this year's primary in Idaho, he says denying voters a chance at discerning that distinction between candidates is a big deal.
And I think that a debate is a nice place to articulate where candidates differ. And in Idaho, within the Republican Party, we do have some real difference. And so I think that not having a debate means that some voters may be less clear on the different choices that they have to make, right? It's one less opportunity that they have to learn about the candidates. And so for some voters, it could mean that they are making decisions that they aren't quite as informed about because we've taken away one form of them getting information, essentially.
Would it be extreme to say it's like the end of democracy as we know it when these things kind of go away like this?
You know, I probably wouldn't say quite that, but it definitely, I think, is indicative of a situation in our politics where we are struggling to have conversations across lines of difference. We are struggling to articulate difference in a civil fashion. We don't trust our opponents, and in this case, it's interesting because this is within the party, right? These are our opponents who are within a party, and so we would think that in that setting, perhaps they would be able to have that kind of a conversation. But this is a national trend, and people not feeling like or wanting to engage in conversations with folks who they don't agree with.
That's a bad thing. I mean, that seems to be a problem.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Why?
When we are not able to engage with the other side, when we are not able to explain our reasoning, I think that does bad things for our understanding of one another, first of all. We are less likely to know why somebody might disagree with us. In this particular case, I think it's a problem for voters. It takes away information from voters, and they're going to be reduced down to either having to do a lot of research on their own, perhaps, or stay closely engaged with politics, or maybe they're going to make decisions on things that are less based on policy, right? Yard signs, things like this. And so, in general, you're taking a part of the equation away from the citizens, and I don't think that's necessarily going to lead to the best outcomes.
Is it unfair to those who want to participate?
Boy, I don't know. That's a great question. I don't know if it's fair or unfair, but I think what it tends to do is it's probably a disadvantage to people who are lesser known, people who perhaps are challenging candidates. You know, if you're well known and you have a long record, voters do know quite a bit about you, and so you have less to lose from opting out. But if you're somebody who's new to the scene and you have some new ideas perhaps you want to share with voters, I think that definitely is a disadvantage to those folks.
So I guess overall, I mean, it's an unfortunate situation, right?
I mean, I tend to think, like globally speaking, in general, that it's not it's not a healthy thing to opt out of debates. Perhaps if you are concerned that a debate is going to be used as a platform to misrepresent what somebody has said or misrepresent somebody's record, you feel like it's not going to be an honest debate on the actual merits of policy, then perhaps that wasn't going to be a productive debate or a productive conversation. There can be a downside to debates. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, globally speaking, opting out of discourse across lines of difference, I don't think is a good thing.
And look, we get it. We in the media have been talking about it for years. They don't need us. Politicians these days don't necessarily need the media to get their message out. Haven't for almost, well, a generation. Or as one famous Republican put it, for a full score. With websites and social media and echo chamber radio interviews, candidates and those elected can say whatever they want without the possibility of pushback on things like facts or even simple follow-up questions to clarify. We heard this a lot last week with regards to these canceled debates. Why would candidate A want to give any time or credibility to crazy candidate B or candidate C? But isn't fair and equal access the backbone to American democracy? That's the question we have. Then there was this one. Why would they want to answer questions from a partisan panel? That's not fair. Those people are just out to make Republicans look bad. First of all, it's really not how that works. A panelist's job is to just ask questions. The unedited answers are determined by the candidates. It's all live, unedited. Why does it matter who's asking the questions or if they're hard? Finally, for a candidate to claim their record is non-debatable, if it was, would you have anyone running against you? I have 2 teenage daughters on the debate team. Trust me when I say everything is debatable. Regardless of review on the media, statewide televised debates are a necessary function of democracy. And by not participating in one, you're refusing accessibility to voters who can't make it to one of your campaign events. They might even see how you would react to a stressful situation if you were to participate. So I guess the question, the last one we might have is, this message that you're saying by opting out, refusing to participate, is this the message to pass along to your kids or grandkids? It's only worth doing if it's perceived fair and easy?